Hello, everybody. Today I'm speaking with Anna Alex, who is the co-founder of a tech firm called Planetly. And Planetly was founded, I think, around 2 years ago and has the main aspect of having a software that helps companies measure and also, in the next step, reduce their carbon footprint. So I'm really, really happy to be speaking with Anna today. So Anna, could you just give us a quick introduction to like the goal and the mission of Planetly?
Yes, happy to do so. Yes, so I'm actually an entrepreneur already for 10 years now, and already in my old company, I wanted to find out what the carbon footprint of this company was. And this was in 2018. And I realized that this is super hard for me as a leader to at all understand the carbon footprint of my company. And then as well understand how I can reduce it. And this whole thing was actually done in the past with Excel sheets. So, and the same in my case. So I experienced it firsthand. I needed to work with a consultant who then came in with his Excel sheet and collected a lot of data, and in the end handed over like a PDF report to us and said, like, this is your carbon footprint. And I was like, wait a second, that can't be it, right? So the carbon footprint is the most important KPI of humanity of the century. So there should be better ways to track it, to really understand it in depth, and to inform the leadership of the companies what is really the right step for the environment and the right actions to take. And yeah, so long story short, I couldn't find this tool out there, so I developed it myself, and that is Planetly. And now, together with 2 years later, together with almost 150 awesome people from the technology space, from the sustainability space, and marketing space, we're pushing Planetly and make it like the market leader for climate tech, to understand and reduce your carbon footprint.
Okay, so that means like Planetly or the software that you have is like a tool that I can dock onto my ERP systems, my SAP systems, and then from that you can actually analyze what are the CO2 emissions that I have as a company.
Yes, exactly. So you put it exactly right. In order to understand your carbon footprint, its depth, and following like on a high standard, on a high quality, following all the methodologies and standards that are out there, you need a lot of data. You need data from your logistics, from your ERP, from your production, from like, but as well from your facilities that you have and running. So it's a lot of different systems, and we offer a very easy to use solution to collect all these data wherever possible. We do this in an automated way through APIs or through like bulk uploads of data. So we can, for example, work with exports from your ERP system and then give you back a dashboard where you can really see what is my carbon footprint, how is it drilled down to the different departments, the different production steps, let's say the different materials that I'm using, and what are now the right goals to set. So we as well accompany the companies in this target setting according with the Science-Based Target Initiative. So it's really science-based targets that the companies are setting as a reduction goal, and which are then in the years to come are working against and trying to put this reduction into place. Companies can as well through us then offset what can be reduced in the meantime. But our main focus is on really offering you an in-depth analysis and the reduction steps.
Okay. And the data that you're analyzing, is it mainly then scope 1, or is it all the way down to like a scope 3 when you also have to like look at if we're talking about a trade fair company like we are, maybe even the visitors that are flying to the trade fair via planes. And I can imagine that that's like really complicated to actually get a grip on that data.
Absolutely, yeah. Scope 3 is the most complex part, and but yes, so we from day one we analyze Scope 3 data as well, because it is super important, and you have a high responsibility and as well a high influence on your supply chain and on the goods and services that you're purchasing there. And that's why like as well you can see this in the reporting requirements and regulations. We're moving away from a world where it was okay-ish to just like report on your scope 1 and 2 to a world where you need to understand the whole value chain as well, and the whole complexity of scope 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. And your customers mainly from which sectors are there? Are there like industrial companies like we have them at Hannover Messe? Is it more tech companies? And what's your focus in terms of customer?
Yeah, so actually we are industry agnostic. Overall, you can say we very much started focusing on tech as well, covering all the emissions that occur through like in tech companies through using your service and so on. So most of the people actually weren't aware that, for example, Netflix emits as many emissions like driving through Berlin with a car. For 1 hour, just watching for 1 hour. So we very much started with that, and then we widened the scope to logistics companies. Worldwide logistic processes are 1/4 of the whole carbon footprint, so a very important part of the carbon footprint. And we developed a really like one of its kind tool to really in depth understand in a very tech driven way the logistics footprint. And by this, then we added like a lot of e-commerce and as well producing companies where we then go deep into the value chain. So, for example, we worked as well with BMW on a project and with quite some other like big producers, which I can't all name right now because they're still in the process.
Okay. And how many customers do you have like in total?
We have over 200 customers now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Like you started 2 years. Wow, that's like quite a way to go in 2 years.
Yes, yeah, it was a crazy ride.
And is it like something where you guys also have to put in a whole lot of effort into sales and marketing, or is it such a major topic now in Germany and Europe that you guys are more like, oh, we have so many customers right now, we first have to work with those that we have before we can take on new customers?
Yeah, luckily, this is actually rather the second case that you described. So, because I mean, it is the topic of our time, and it hasn't been like this 2 years ago when we started. So, in the beginning, we needed to educate a lot of customers that you can't just like, I don't know, purchase a few trees over there and then you're done, right, with your responsibility. So, we needed to do a lot of education with in the market, but by now, and as well like with all the regulations and reporting requirements kicking in next year, and we see a massive like traction and more companies understanding that this is necessary, and as well more and more leaders of companies understanding that actually this transition that we'll go through over the next years, the sustainable transition, will change so many things, and it is their task to understand all of this in depth and guide their companies through that.
Can you give me a feel of the costs that that a customer has to pay, and what actually is it, like the company size, the number of employees that also has an effect on the cost? And can you give us a feeling of how long such a project has to like be set up until you guys are able to like for the first time say, okay, dear colleagues from BMW, your carbon footprint is X
Yeah.
amounts of CO2 tons?
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. So the costs very much like scale actually with complexity. So the larger you are as an organization, the more sites you have, the factories, and so on and so forth, and as well like the more processes or production heavy you are, then the costs are increased with that, because you then would purchase another module. So for example, there's a base module, then there's a logistic module, and then there's a supply chain carbon footprint module. So overall, it is very much like affordable, I'd say. So it can be from a few hundred to a few thousand euros per month.
Okay.
And in terms of timing, this very much depends on how good your data quality is. So if you have all your data like set up in good systems, we can be super fast, and then it can be a question of actually weeks. If you need to like collect all this data from like whichever sources, it could take a little longer.
Okay, perfect. Last two questions actually. Do you have an overview? Of course, you have an overview, the data-driven way that you guys are. How much CO2 you guys have through your consulting activities have already reduced in average over your whole employees and over your whole customers? And what are your goals for the next few months or years maybe with Planetly?
Yeah. So what we are always measuring is, so because many companies are doing this for the very first time, and actually we just started like actually a year ago to sell the software, because the first year we spent on developing the software, and then we started really selling and scaling. So many companies are doing this for the first time, and you need to understand the base footprint first, and then based on this, you can set your targets. And then in the next year, you can say, like, did I achieve my targets? How much have I really reduced? And we have very few companies who are now already in the second turn. Most are in the first turn. What I can definitely share is that we already like made visible 1.5 million tons of CO2 in our software. So, and by visibility, we mean like we attach ownership to this ton. So something like the CO2, which didn't have an owner before, now has an owner. And now, let's say the head of logistics exactly know what his or her carbon footprint is, and then exactly know what he or she needs to do in order to reduce it. And this is one of the main benefits that we're like giving or delivering.
Okay, perfect. And your goals for the next months, years to come?
So steep growth. Unfortunately, I can't share any numbers on that, but yeah, we are very excited about this. Maybe one caveat or like information on this. Like end of last year, so just a few months ago, we have been acquired by an American company called OneTrust, and OneTrust is one of the fastest growing software businesses of all times from the US. And together with them, we will increase the velocity of features that we can ship. We will add a lot of new, very exciting features, especially when it comes to supply chain management, because they are very good in managing risk in the supply chain. And as well broadening the scope from carbon only to the whole ESG reporting. So as well adding social and governance aspects to the whole reporting. So it will be fun for our customers with all that we want to and will deliver over the next months and years.
Perfect. Anna, thanks a lot for taking the time speaking to us. I think the whole topics that you spoke about are extremely interesting for all exhibitors and visitors at Hannover Messe. And we should speak about you actually talking at Hannover Messe, but we'll do that off camera. So thanks a lot for having us, and yeah, see you next time.
Thank you.